The tennis world is down under for the first major of 2023. And despite the notable absences, a collection of stars have aligned in Australia, looking to light up the courts over these 2 weeks. The two biggest stars in men's tennis come to Melbourne, renewing their chase for history as the all-time leader in major titles. Plus, it's Iga against the field on the women's side, as she looks to increase her massive advantage over the competition. And this contortionist is really stretching the limits of everyday tennis equipment. Let's hope he doesn't get stuck. All those stories and more over the next 2 hours on this Australian Open edition of Tennis Channel Live. After the shortest offseason in sports and a quick 2-week tune-up, the eyes of the tennis world once again gaze upon Melbourne, Australia. It is the first Grand Slam of the year, and it's day one of TC Live, our 2-hour pregame show to get you ready for all the action every day down under. Taking a look at the featured matches on day one, the youngest player in the top 50, Coco Gauff, first up on Rod Laver Arena, followed by Greek superstar Maria Sakkari. Defending champ Rafa Nadal gets Jack Draper. Then in the night session, it's the women's top seed Iga Swiatek, followed by last year's finalist Daniil Medvedev and Marco Schiarone. Big stars already on the practice court. Swiatek made the semis last year, then went on a tear, winning 37 straight matches at one point. Meantime, the men's top seed has more major singles titles than any man in history. Rafa Nadal will go for Grand Slam number 23 this fortnight. It is great to have you back here with us on TC Live. Steve Weissman, alongside the Hall of Famer Lindsay Davenport, former pro, our global correspondent, Prakash Amritraj, from 60 Minutes and Sports Illustrated, the great Jon Wertheim. We will also be joined by Hall of Famer Martina Navratilova throughout the show. It is so good to get the band back together. What are you most excited about this tournament, Linz?
Well, it's always exciting when a Grand Slam is about to start, but I have to say, last year's U.S. Open, in my 30-plus years in pro tennis, was the most exciting slam that I'd ever really followed. I can't wait to see how the players and the matches and the storylines follow up what we saw in New York. Will someone new win? This is Swiatek's first time playing in Australia as the favorite to win the title. Will that really wreak havoc with her? How does Novak respond after last year's controversy? A lot of interesting stuff on tap.
All right, we'll get to all of that on the show, but we start with a couple of notable names that are not in Melbourne. That would be two-time champ Naomi Osaka, men's number one, Carlos Alcaraz. John, what was your reaction when you heard the news that Naomi Osaka is pregnant?
One was happiness for Naomi Osaka. She seems thrilled, as well she should be. Also, honestly, a bit of relief. There was so much mystery around Naomi Osaka. She hasn't played in months, and there were questions about how much she wants to be part of this tour, part of the sport. And the fact that this absence now we know is because she is an expecting mother. She's already said she intends to return in 2024. That's good for everyone, but most of all, good for her. She seems genuinely excited about becoming a mother, and all happiness for her.
Yeah, happy for Naomi, her longtime boyfriend Corday, expecting their first child. That is exciting news also that she'll be in Melbourne next year. Meantime, for the second straight year, Prakash, the world number one on the men's side will be missing the year's first major. Carlos Alcaraz, unfortunately, injured his right leg during training. He did still have time to shoot some commercials in his undies, though.
Hey, listen. He didn't hurt too much when he couldn't get out there with a little baby oil and flaunt those Calvins all over the place and have a little battle with Francis Tiafoe doing the same thing. Look, it's going to be a real bummer not to have him. He was sensational last year, only guy to pick up 2 1,000 titles, and he really announced himself. I mean, he did a lot of things that Roger, Rafa, and Novak hadn't done. So we were just with bated breath waiting to see how he was going to take it all on at this Australian Open. But we'll miss him, but he heals quick. He's a young kid. He'll be back soon.
How much of this do you guys think is, hey, injuries happen, it's sports, it's physical, and how much of it is his game is so physical that might this be Rafa-type rhythms where he plays spectacularly and then pulls up injured for a period of time?
It's also hard that last year, I mean, how many matches did he play at the absolute highest level? That takes its toll also on a player, and especially for the first year of really playing so many matches at that level. We'll have to see what ends up happening with him. He'll be back. He'll be great. I mean, we've had so few teenage players in the last, call it 20 years that were able to win a major. To see him be able to break through, he's going to be okay, but I do think he'll be with some injuries on and off throughout his career.
It was the first since Rafa. He got it all started in Miami last year. Hopefully he can defend that title at the Miami Open. Meantime, with Naomi Osaka announcing her pregnancy and the reigning women's champ Ash Barty also expecting her first child, it got us to thinking. It seems like winning the Australian Open often has led to motherhood. Lindsay, take a look at this.
Unbelievable, especially Kerber, Osaka, and Barty all announcing they're going to have children in 2023, all of them expecting. That is quite a stat there.
Might I point out?
Don't tell Kenan that.
Yeah, come on, Kenan, get with it. Can we point out, though, in all fairness, we have the big four, Stan Wawrinka. I mean, what do they have in common? They've all won the Australian Open, and they're also parents as well. They just haven't taken maternity leave, biology being what it is. So I'm not sure this is gender specific, but that is quite a graphic.
It's a little different.
How about Serena there on that list? She actually won while she was expecting. You got to give her some props there.
That is impressive. About as impressive as it gets.
Doubles. I mean, listen, it's 2-on-1. Olympia gets a little bit of credit for raising Daphne.
Does she have a slam under her belt?
I think so. We can give it to her.
Absolutely.
Right?
Exactly.
She gets one of the 23.
I think this is Rafa's first major as a father.
Yes, that's right. That's
See
right.
how that goes for him.
Wife and baby Rafa on board. Baby on board. A lot to get to over the next 2 hours here on TC Live. We will have all the top stories. We'll let you know which players are arriving with new trophies. John goes unstrung on the highest ranked American singles player in the world. And you don't want to miss our Bet365 match previews. But when we return, top storylines down under, from Novak's return to Rafa's title defense, the rise of Coco to, of course, Iga's dominance. And we will have 12-time Australian Open champion Martina Navratilova join us to break it all down. Stay with us on TC Live.
TC Live at the Australian Open is brought to you in part by Tennis Express. We deliver tennis right to your front door. Order today, ships today. And by Bet365, the world's favorite sports book.
Welcome back to TC Live. The defending men's champion coming on site. How about Rafa Nadal? First round against Jack Draper. Rafa himself said it's probably one of the toughest first rounds possible for a seed. This is a guy who's only lost twice. 66 Grand Slams in a first round. Nadal getting ready to go later tonight. Well, a reminder, TC Live comes your way 5 p.m. Eastern every day to get you ready for First Ball over on ESPN. And then at 7 a.m. Eastern, it is Tennis Channel's Encore coverage with Brett Haber and Paul Annacone. Back on the left side of our studio, Steve, Lindsay, and John, and we have a big, warm welcome to our Hall of Fame family, Martina Navratilova, over on the big screen. Martina, it is so great to see you. Obviously, before we get to the tennis, we all want to know, how are you doing after that health announcement a couple weeks ago?
Well, you know, the sun just came out, so the light's kind of funny. I'm ready to go, ready to get on with the treatment. I've had 2 surgeries and 4 biopsies. And radiation chemo awaiting, but I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to go in other ways as well once I get to play again. I got my squeezy thingy here. I just found these Wimbledon resistance bands in my grocery bag. I don't know how they got there. And I have a water bottle as usual. So I'm ready to go. So good to be with you guys. I wish I were there, but yeah, I'll be there next time.
You look awesome, Martina, and it looks like you've got some friends in the back. Are there some of the pups in the back?
Yes.
Yeah, the usual, you know, they always scratch at the door, so I have 3 dogs on the bed behind me. Just in case, that's why I have these headphones.
That's only part of her animal
Kingdom.
yes, in her house, exactly.
I noticed Lulu back there as well, Martina. We can't have an Australian Open TC Live without Lulu being involved, so we'll have you bring her up a little later in the show as well. Some big storylines to get to, including Novak Djokovic. What a difference a year makes from him. He was deported from Australia last year. The 9-time champion returning more focused and confident than ever.
If I do hold the grudges and probably if I'm not able to move on, I wouldn't be here, you know. And also I have to say that the amount of positive experiences I had in Australia overwhelmed the negative experience maybe last year.
Martina, the last 3 times he's played the Australian Open, he's won the whole thing. Hasn't lost in the country in 5 years. 34 straight wins there. How big of a favorite is he to you?
as massive as it gets. I'm as big a favorite as Rafa is at Roland Garros. To me, this is Novak at the Australian Open. He's about to win it for the 10th time. Novak against the field, 3 out of 5. That's a tough out on hard courts, and he's been embraced warmly by the Australian crowd, and he's ready to go. Maybe the question mark would be his body, but if he's healthy, it's odds-on favorite, big time.
Yeah, the body, I think, is the one question. He canceled a practice session Sunday, Australia time, because of this hamstring. He's closer to age 40 than to 30. He's also Novak Djokovic, and we've seen him handle injuries before. How much concern do you have, Lindsay, over this hamstring? You
know, you always have to keep one eye on it, on some of the players when their preparation isn't exactly perfect. You never like to see players, obviously, canceling practice sessions. He has been amazing over the years of being able to overcome things. You don't win as many majors as he has without having your physical woes during majors. What I love about Novak is how outspoken he has been about wanting to be the best. He wants to break all the records. This is why he's playing.
He said that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, he is very open about it. You have Rafa, who's always like, no, I'm happy with what I've done. And they're never really willing to put it out there. He has. And he wants to win these majors. The hamstring might not be perfect, but he is going to give it his all, you know, to try and win in Melbourne again.
Hey, he looked good in that EXO against Nick Kyrgios. Won his 92nd career title in Adelaide, so arrives with some confidence. By the way, wants to be the best in all things. That 92nd title tied him with Rafa Nadal, 4th on the all-time list. Nadal, of course, still leads that Grand Slam all-time total. He's got one more than Novak Djokovic right now. Here is what the defending champion had to say before the tournament.
I have been losing more than usual, so that's part of the business. So just accept the situation. I think I am humble enough to accept that situation and just work with what I have today.
Johnny lost his only 2 matches this year at the United Cup. Go back to last year, he's lost 6 of his last 7 matches. So what's your confidence level in Rafa Nadal right now?
I think his confidence level is higher than he's letting on. I mean, he hasn't had a stretch like this in his career. He's actually, I heard he was asking his team, anticipating questions like this, he was asking his team, remind me again, what's the word for vulnerable? And he actually used the word vulnerable in his press conference, but I also think he knows best of 5 is different from best of 3, and he's gotten a bit healthier. I don't think he likes coming in with these results. I also don't think he's lost 6 of his last 7 matches, which is crazy. I don't think it's going to be 7 out of 8.
He has said his level has still been there in those matches, and if Rafa's not worried, I'm not worried. He's always pretty honest about that. He was honest, Martina, when he was responding to comments that Alexander Zverev made, who said he might retire after Roland Garros this year. Rafa was asked about retirement from some journalists as well. He seems kind of annoyed. He's like, why are these people asking me about retirement? I won 2 majors last year. I'm the defending champion in Australia. What's going on here, Martina?
I would be annoyed too if they were asking me, which they used to. But when you win a major within the last 12 months, you definitely think you can win it again. And until somebody beats Rafa in Roland Garros, he's not going to quit because he's always going to think he can win that one at least. So until somebody beats him, he's not retiring unless the body says no mas.
I think also with Federer just retiring last year, announcing that, obviously then the questions go towards these big 3. Novak is nowhere near it. I think with Rafa and how many serious injuries he's had, he had the foot, of course. Yeah, there's been so many, the ab as well, that then the people start talking about it. But his commitment to wanting to be out there and to continuing to try and win majors and be a player, he signed up for tournaments throughout the year. We keep hearing about it. I don't really think it's on his mind.
Yeah. Your periodic reminder, not that long ago, age 35 was the cutoff for seniors tennis. Can we just discuss the fact that a 35-year-old is the overwhelming favorite, and Rafa at age 36 is angry when people are asking him when he might retire. Not pleased with, usually Rafa sort of absolutely sidesteps anything tendentious, controversial. He clearly was not pleased that Zverev made that remark.
I think he was asked about it earlier as well at the United Cup, and he's just like, stop with this retirement talk. I'm literally the top seed at the Australia. I mean, who else gets asked that but Rafa Nadal? And he also leads the list that we show you every single tournament that they're at. Nadal, all-time major title leaders. He's number 1, 22 on the men's side. Novak Djokovic, if he wins, can tie. Anytime these 2 are both in a draw, Lindsay, everything can switch.
So you're saying it's likely we go into Paris at 22-22?
If Novak's the favorite, then yeah.
Would that be remarkable?
we just talk about how nuts this is?
Yeah,
you could not imagine 10 years ago scripting this and saying 22, 21, 20. I also feel for Roger Federer. Imagine saying to Roger Federer a few years ago, hey, good news, you're going to win 20 majors. Pete Sampras, you're going to have him by half a dozen. Bad news, you get the bronze medal.
Yeah. I mean, remember, Pete thought he was doing pretty well when he got to 14. Didn't take long for 3 players to pass him.
That's crazy.
Insane.
Martina, who do you think ends this year leading that list on the men's side?
Chances are, the odds are with Novak Djokovic. Chances are he will 1 or 2, maybe even 3 majors this year. Rafa's odds-on favorite at Roland Garros, but the rest of them, for me, Novak is the favorite in all the other 3 majors. So somebody's got to beat him and make him pay the price. But right now, odds-on favorite in all those 3.
Well, the young generation is coming, but not yet.
Exactly.
Not yet. When they're both in a draw, they usually win that thing. We'll have that stat coming up later on TC Live. And when we come back, it is time to switch gears to the women. Iga versus the field. Our experts tell you if the world number 1 can win her first Australian Open title.